All right, today is December 9th. Welcome to Small Scale Development, how to break into development. Well, today we are going to talk about the Townhouse project on MLK. I'm going to first get you over to a GIS map, so probably in any hopefully, most cities around the country will have a GIS maps that show what those uh, what those cities look like on the map. And here in Fayetteville, we've got all sorts of data. We've got general data, address, flood data, future land use, land records, um, all sorts of stuff. So first, we're gonna go over to zoning. So we're gonna take a look at zoning here. Take it over to our site and oops, right here. Okay. So as we can see right in here, this is blue, zone blue is DG. This stands for Downtown General. Every city will have their own zoning code, so you'll have to figure out what those are for you. But in this case, its zoning code is Downtown General. Here's NC, Neighborhood Conservation. Um, Downtown General in Fayetteville is a great zoning for neighborhoods. It has, for developers, it has a lot of variety things that you can do. I'll walk through that shortly and how you find out what you can do there. But first, we're going to just take a look at the measurement here. So I'm going to take a measurement here from the side to the side. It's about 128 feet wide, and from back to front, it's about 138 feet. And in terms of overall size, we're looking at about 0.4 acres. You can see it, goes out into the street a little bit, so I'll clear that. So oftentimes we've got the street here, and then the city will have what's called a master street plan right away. So essentially, they might want to expand the street some. So I usually figure, well, we probably maybe lose about 10 feet on the side, 10 feet in the front, whenever there's whenever it's, wherever it's on the street. I figure we probably lose about 10 feet. So over here, you can see these have already been split and built. We built these ones over here, and we had to give up this amount of right of way here for this. I'm not sure what's going on here, but in any case, so we can imagine that somewhere right about here we'll lose about 10 feet. And so we said it was 140, 138 feet. So let's just say we lose clear that. 17, 18 feet in this case. So what do we say? 138 minus 18. So 120, maybe 120. Let's see if we've lost anything here. No. Okay, so 120, and this was 130. So let's just say it's about 120 by 20, 120 by 120. Something to keep in mind. So now what we can also do is let's look at, we can look at the site from different ways. So here's what it looks like overhead. I'm gonna remove some of these, remove the zoning so you can get a feel for it. I guess we're all zoomed in here. So this is a site. We have about 120 by 120 feet of buildable area. You can kind of see the house and the trees here. You can see the new construction over here that was built, some of the new construction that we did over here. And let's see, we can also well, that's where we'll start for now. So that's the zoning, downtown general, and let's go back over here. We can go to the municipal zoning code. So here is, this is going to get really detailed if you like reading legal briefs and things like that. Then you're going to love getting in here, but it's a lot, it's dense, it's hard to navigate, but it's very important for development to understand this. So this is how Fayetteville works. I'm assuming that most cities have something similar to this. I'm not as familiar with other cities, but we have a bunch of different code of ordinances for the city, and I go to the Unified Development Code. So presumably your city should have something like that, and it gives you instructions on how to do all sorts of things, or what you're allowed to do, what you aren't allowed to do. So it'll talk about the different zoning districts. In this case, we can look at the different zoning regulations. So here are all the different zonings. So I mentioned in the video there was NC, neighborhood conservation, and downtown general. That is the one that we are looking at. So downtown general, in this case, it's a flexible zone not limited to the concentrated mix of uses in the downtown core or Main Street center. And there's a mixture of single family homes, row houses, apartments, live work units, etc. So these are the different uses that can actually be built here. So, you know, usually what we're looking at is single family dwellings, 2-family dwellings, 3 and 4 family dwellings. There's shopping goods, eating places, home occupations, offices, studios, multifamily, sidewalk cafes, small scale, short-term rentals. So a whole range of things that can be built in downtown general, so it makes it very flexible, nice thing to be able to develop in. Now, so these are all permitted uses. These are things that you can do by right, and that's really important because you don't need, city approval to do these things. You need to get city approval to build. There's other rules that restrict what you can do, but any of these uses are possible here. Some of the things that are conditional use are transportation, trades, and services. So that may be like a gas station, hotels, shopping goods, which may be a little bit more larger scale than neighborhood shopping goods. And each of these later will tell you, okay, well, what specifically does neighborhood shopping goods mean compared to shopping goods? Well, later on we go to use units, and we can look at what was that, use unit 16 versus 15. We're not going to look at shopping goods particularly, but I just kind of wanted to let you have a feel for what kind of things you're looking at, because going through this is important to understand. Okay, so use unit 18, gasoline service stations. I think I was looking at transportation, trade and services. So here are the whole list of different things you can do, car wash, etc. Now, here's shopping goods, department store, mail order, appliances, all sorts of stuff. And it also says, well, that's about it. And now, neighborhood shopping goods says it must be within a building containing 25,000 square feet or less. So that's what's different. It's smaller scale than the regular shopping. So course, you guys know what single family, let's see. Well, I'm gonna leave it there for now. But these use units, matter when you're looking at what you can build there. And sometimes the definitions are in another place too that get even more detailed. So it's helpful to know what specifically you want to do and how that fits in. So density. In a lot of cities, you may be familiar with something called RSF4 or something like that, residential single family 4 units per acre, or RMF 24, residential multifamily 24 units per acre. So hopefully that's somewhat explanatory to you. If you have more questions, let us know. But you can have, typically it's not a very good way of doing it, but they say a unit is, a single family. It doesn't really matter whether it's 1 bedroom or 4 bedrooms. That's a unit. So multifamily 24 units per acre could have 24 4-bedroom units or 24 1-bedroom units or some mix. But in this zoning, there's no density, which again makes it really flexible. Lot width minimum. In this case, you can cut up the lot up into 18 feet wide. So we had roughly 120 feet. So, what is that? You could cut it up, let's just say it's 20, that you could cut it up 6 times into 6 different lots, potentially. And what else are we looking at? There's no lot area minimum that you have to have, in a lot of cases, like RSF4, residential single family 4 units per acre. That means you have basically 4 units on an acre is a 1/4 acre. Each lot has to be a 1/4 acre in size. So there's no minimum size of lot here. Setbacks. So this is important too. So front setback. So in this zoning, it says a build to zone that is located between the front property line and the line 25 feet from the front property line. So what this is saying is that rather than typically what most people are used to is building setbacks. So buildings have to be set back at least 10 feet, 25 feet, whatever it is from the street. So, or the sidewalk and the right of way. So in RSF4 in our city, and probably most, you may have a 25-foot setback. So houses have to be set back from the road. And that's why you'll see in, a lot of subdivisions, houses set way back. In this case, it's the opposite. It's trying to have a little bit more of an urban feel, and so buildings should be closer to the street. We also have no side setbacks. That's helpful. Rear setbacks 5 feet, and rear, if there's an alleyway behind it, then you only have to be 12 feet from the center line of the alley. So typically an alley here is 20 feet. So you only have to be essentially 2 feet off the alley. So, that's helpful too. So that's with regard to putting a structure up there. And building height, we can actually build up to 5 stories. I'm not going to be looking at doing anything 5-story. We may look at 3-story, but that's it for what we're looking at here for beginner developers. Minimum buildable street frontage, 50% a lot. Again, so the point is to get dense development, not to have things that are set far back and far apart. It's to get more of an urban environment. And that is what we have there for zoning. So I'm sure that doesn't answer all of your questions, but that's just to kind of get a feel for what we need to know. So I think the main thing is we can put any sort of residential we want here. That's one. Secondly, density doesn't matter, so we can put as many units as we want here. With regard to zoning, there's other development rules that apply. And if we decide we want to split it, we can split it roughly up to 6 times going sideways. We actually have frontage on, it's a corner, so we actually could split it more than that. I'll keep it simple for that, for these purposes. Although there actually is another rule that says that if you split it more than 4 times, then it becomes it becomes a subdivision, which then means there's a whole bunch of other rules. So, and that's you know, specific for Fayetteville. And then finally, with regard to setbacks, we don't have any in the front, and we have 5 in the rear, nothing on the side. So we're looking at, we had 120 feet, roughly 120 feet by 120 feet. And that's basically kind of almost the extent of what we can build on, minus the 5 feet here. Now, again, like I said, there's a lot of other rules that we will need to look at as well. There's rules about development, supplemental zoning regulations, stormwater, streets and sidewalks, landscape regulations, etc. Low impact development, that's dealing with stormwater. So essentially there's a lot of rules that we'll need to go through as we do this, but this is kind of gives you the basic idea of what could be built here. And with that, I'll leave it to you.